Hey everyone, Art Burns here, wishing you well today. I hope that you're meeting your day and all the challenges it might pose to you. I'm hoping you're meeting it all with a sense of presence, acceptance, and compassion. Those three things to me, those three qualities of our experiences, or the qualities that we can bring to our experiences, are really the foundation for creating the atmosphere and the sort of conditions for happiness. And so I hope that you're able to meet your day with those three sort of attitudes or conditions of presence, acceptance, and compassion. And if you can't, and if you're having trouble with that or you don't understand what I mean, please get in touch with me. Let me talk to you about it, and let me give you a couple of very, very simple exercises that can help you develop these. And again, allow you to be, just more happy and just have a better experience, an experience with less suffering. And that's the idea, right? In the absence of suffering, we find happiness, right? So today I wanted to talk to you about, if you listen to me, if you watch any of my videos, if you spend any time around me, it's not going to be long before you hear me mention the name of a brilliant doctor, researcher, teacher, all around good guy, what seems to be an amazing parent. And I'm talking about a really great guy called named Dr. Dan Siegel. Now, Dr. Siegel, prolific author. Okay, he's written some really amazing books on parenting, The Full Brain Child, as well as No Drama Discipline. There's a third one in that series that just came out recently. I'm sorry I don't have the name handy on the tip of my tongue, but those are co-authored with another brilliant doctor named Dr. Tina Payne Bryson. Now, Dr. Siegel, though, and Dr. Bryson is a child development psychologist, and very much in line with Dr. Siegel, and they just write these amazing books. I mean, they're entertaining, they're humble, they tell you about, all the times when they just, when they absolutely, blow it as parents. And that's really, very endearing for me. And that's why I love those books specifically, not only for the actual way that they approach parenting, which is from the understanding of a child's development, which is the important part here. As we deal with our children, we have to really understand what they're going through as they're going through it. That's the best way that we can get the results that everybody wants. The happiness and the development and the positive outcomes. But they're amazing. Like there's one chapter where Tina threatens amputation. Right? Like they really lay it out. They tell you about all the poor examples of parenting that they engage in. And that's something that's very special about these parenting books, is because you don't get that from all parenting books, right? Most parenting books are like, from on high, the people teaching it, make it seem like, like there's no wrong that they could possibly do. But that's what makes Tina, Dr. Bryson and Dr. Siegel much different, because they really let you know, like, yeah, I've done this horrible thing. Listen to this story, And so it really kind of lets you attach them, and that's really the concept, is attachment, right? That Dr. Siegel really, his whole thing is about attachment parenting, right? His overarching philosophy of his work in general, right, is called interpersonal neurobiology, right? And then when you apply that to parenting, it becomes something that he calls attachment parenting, right? But interpersonal neurobiology is about kind of using all sciences to really understand how we're connecting and relating to one another. That's in a very brief nutshell. You should look that up, read some of his books, watch some of his TED Talks. Amazing stuff, really amazing stuff. But one of the concepts that he has in interpersonal neurobiology and in attachment parenting too, a lot of his work intersects with mindfulness, for sure. Like most of it really does intersect with mindfulness. And actually, the way that I was introduced to Dr. Siegel is by attending a seminar in which he was talking about the science of mindfulness and what mindfulness does to the brain. So he's definitely a practitioner of mindfulness. Definitely is very informed in his work of mindfulness. But it was he learned of mindfulness after many years of developing this field of interpersonal neurobiology. So very interesting sort of dynamic there. But anyway, one of the concept of interpersonal neurobiology, and something that Dan calls, he has this great term called mui, right? Like it's almost, I think of it as like a kiss, like mwah, right? But mui, MWE, right? So it's as we're sitting here having a conversation, right? There's the me, there's who I am and what's happening inside of me, emotionally, physically, mentally, and my thoughts, and the whole processing of my mind, right? And you would have the same experience, right? There's a me inside you, right? But then there's also the we, right? So there's the me, and then there's the we that's connected to the me, and how those two things kind of intersect with one another. Again, if you go on YouTube, type in Dr. Dan Siegel, MWE, you'll come up with some great stuff more deep on that. But what this does, this concept of this connection and this we, if you will, really hits upon a part of mindfulness that is for me very, very prominent, and has been one of the aspects of mindfulness that has helped me the most in terms of my own development of my emotional intelligence, my stress reduction, and yes, my ability to be a more effective and more kind and more connected parents. And this is the aspect of mindfulness of compassion, right? Now, you can ask some mindfulness, especially evidence-based mindfulness teachers, meaning scientific, doctors and stuff. They will tell you that mindfulness is like John Kabat-Zinn's definition of mindfulness, which is just drilled into my mind: paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, right? That's essentially what mindfulness is. It's just moment to moment awareness without judgment, right? And that leaves out the whole concept of compassion, right? Jack Kornfield, who is another great mindfulness teacher, who bridges the gap. I mean, Jack Kornfield is a psychologist, but he's also a former monk, so he kind of bridges that gap between evidence-based and spiritually based mindfulness, right? And he calls mindfulness loving awareness, right? And that's where you can kind of get into that. That's creeping up on the idea of compassion, right? And for sure, I think it's the Dalai Lama who said that love is the absence of judgment, right? So in non-judging awareness, that's loving awareness, right? So I really like that one too. The concept, though, of compassion when it comes into the mindfulness practice and the realm and the theories of mindfulness is very, very, very powerful and very, very important. And as I said, this is the aspect of mindfulness that's probably helped me the most out of all of it, and specifically when it comes to my parenting, right? And so the idea of compassion, right, is to build that connection to another person, right? Compassion, the very word itself comes from the Latin compassus, right, which is to suffer with, right? So to connect with someone who's whatever they're going through, right? Whether it's suffering, it doesn't have to just be suffering, but often that's the context in which we consider mindfulness, right? Consider compassion rather. So the idea, when we can apply that to parenting, right? And this goes across the board. It's not just parenting, right? Like when you can, essentially the idea of compassion, and to me, the way that I kind of understand and process it and the way I teach it to people is that compassion arises from empathy, right? So first, when we feel empathy for someone, right? When we can really feel and understand what someone is going through, right? Then, and especially on a level of suffering, then we can allow ourselves to form compassion from that understanding, right? And then to suffer with them, right? And that leads to action, of helpful action, right, and supportive action, right, and of course, when we're dealing with a parent-child or even an adult relationship, a lot of times that support, right, is on the level of emotional support, right? And that's sometimes far, far more important and far, far greater than the idea of, sort of physical support or like logical, logistical support kind of thing, right? And so when we talk about parents, and then again, I talk about attunement a lot, right? And this is definitely connected and attached to attunement. Attunement is the idea, and this is way past just Dr. Siegel. I mean, he talks about attunement a lot, but every childhood development psychologist or doctor is going to mention attunement at some time, right? This is a very, very well-founded understanding of childhood development, that when we attune to our children, right, which means to connect to them on a deeper level from the just the behavior, right? To really connect with them on an emotional level, and kind of see the world through their emotional experience, right? Like when we can do that, when we can let them know that we are attuned to them in that way, that is just something that is enormously powerful for their development, right? Now, I've talked about that before, and I'm going to talk about it again at some point, I'm sure. But that is essentially what we're talking about when we talk about compassion, right? And again, this can be applied to your children and how you connect with them in parenting. It could be applied to everybody in your life, though, right? When we approach people, right, again, whether it's our kids or anyone else in our lives, when we approach people with the sense of a connection, that you know what, I know that you're feeling some kind of pain or suffering, or fear, or insecurity, or some level of these types of emotions. Everybody's feeling that on some level at all times, right? Most of the time we have feelings of, we have periods of feeling that, right? When we approach every single situation with the understanding, right, with the empathy that's going on, right? Like we know that about people. If you're alive, you're feeling some levels of fear, you're feeling some levels of regret, you're feeling some levels of anxiety, or depression, or what have you, right? It's a broad spectrum. Everybody's got some of it, though, right? And so when I can approach you or anyone else, and my kids, anyone else in my life, knowing that that's true, and then with the attempt and the intention to connect with that with you, and to understand that when you're, whatever you're doing, right, whatever your behavior is, right, is a product of all of those different emotions that you're feeling, right? And when I can understand that through empathy, and then I can wish for you to feel the improvement from those things, or the sort of the healing from those things, then I'm connecting with you on a very, very deep emotional level. And when we can do this, folks, okay, again, I'm applying it mostly to parenting now, right? Because when you can treat your children that way, right, you're going to say things in a certain way, your actions are going to be in a certain way. And specifically, and this is something that's very, very much part of attunement, like it's one thing if you say something and you have this like fake smile on your face, but you're really very angry, your kids are going to see that. They're going to see through it, right? So the idea is that when you can genuinely connect with a genuine and heartfelt sense of compassion, again, whether it's with your kids or anyone else in your life, then these connections that you have are going to be really much more full and much more fruitful. And the outcomes of all of your interactions are going to be equally as full and fruitful and beneficial to everyone involved. All right. So again, and now here's the thing, right? You can practice compassion specifically, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be, I mean, yes, it's good to apply this to formal meditation, right? But you can just do compassion meditations, right? And they're super easy and they feel really good. And if you'd like to learn about them, I would be happy to be the one to teach you them. Okay, yeah, I'm telling you, even just a few minutes a day, I have had people come back to me after a matter of weeks of a few minutes a day, and everything is different. Their whole lives change based on this work. Okay, just the compassion. So, if you'd like to learn more, please hit me up, send me a direct message, drop a comment below, email me, art@artburnscoaching.com. Get in touch with me. Let's talk about this, okay? I guarantee you in a 15-minute conversation, I could give you enough for you to know that you'll be able to start these practices. And as long as you continue to do the practices, you are going to change it. It's only a matter of weeks before you see dramatic improvements. And this dramatic improvement shows itself in all of your interactions and the fruit of these interactions. And nothing is more profoundly impacted than the relationship with your children. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll be back next week with some more hopefully helpful videos for you. So take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.